What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get any further into the video, I think it's time to get some fun facts with Aiden. And I want you to know a little bit more about me, ladies and gentlemen. So, obviously, you've seen a couple of things. You know I like the sports I like. You know, obviously, the team I support and everything. You don't necessarily know the type of music that I like. Well, I'm going to tell you the type of music I don't like. The most overrated music I've ever seen and heard in my life is jazz music. I can't stand the jazz music, man. Everywhere I go and I hear jazz, I'm bolting the other way. I'm just kidding, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just having a laugh. Jazz music ain't that bad. But anyway, we versed the Utah Jazz today and we ended up losing. And ultimately, it was a fun game for the most part, but it was also a game where I don't necessarily think you'd see that again. Not only from the Bulls, but from the Utah Jazz as well. You're not going to see that very often. And I'll kind of discuss what I mean in this video. But before we get any further, if you like the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and I guess their game against the Utah Jazz. Who's your player of the game in this timeout? And just overall, what were your thoughts on the game? Now, Utah came into this game pretty much without a win. They were 0-6. And we've given them their first win as we lose 135 to 126 in this time out. Very high scoring from both teams in the end. And ultimately, look, Utah were fantastic in this game. And you might be saying, well, how could they be so fantastic if they were 0-6? Well, ladies and gentlemen, when people are shooting as good as they are from the three-point line, from the field, if you have one of those nights where you're just making everything and it feels like you can't buy a miss, well, at the end of the day, you're going to win the game. It is what it is. I think the NBA at this point in time is too talented to let teams shoot an unbelievable efficiency from the field. I think it was about, over 50% from the field Utah made more shots than they missed. That's an incredible feature of their game, ladies and gentlemen, and I think that's what ended up getting them the win. I was kind of surprised by how cocky they were acting in this game, to be honest. Maybe it's just me, but they were just so arrogant in terms of the way that they were celebrating and basically mocking our bench and stuff of that nature. Keep in mind, look, I didn't watch the entirety of the game. I just don't have time to do that. I watched the second half, and it just felt like from then to the fourth quarter, they were just mocking us, man. And it's never a nice feeling to get mocked on your home court, and I hope the Bulls have an extra element of revenge coming for the Utah Jazz when we go over to Utah, but it is what it is. It's still a game where Utah were just incredible from the field, shot everything, even contested shots were going in. It was just an unbelievable game from the Jazz. One of those games where you're going to win if you shoot that amount of efficiency, and the Bulls couldn't keep up with them. They couldn't go tad for tad. They couldn't go for bucket, and ultimately, we lost. Now, is this a loss that concerns me as a Chicago Bulls fan? I have my concerns already. This game didn't necessarily change any of that, but my concerns are still pretty big. Going down big in games and trying to come back from them is a concern to me. If we do win those games, fantastic. Of course, I would love to see the Bulls win those type of games, but when they don't win those type of games, it makes you question why we're always going down in games, down big as well. Looking at the first quarter of this timeout, Utah had the lead by 3 points in the first, and they outscored us in the second as well. It was mainly the fourth quarter where Utah really got the reins of things and the Bulls couldn't keep up with them. But yeah, the Bulls' big third quarter, they've had a couple of very good third quarters for the Chicago Bulls, or the Bulls have had very good third quarters this entire season, so it's nice that at least that's a consistent. But I still would say, even though it wasn't necessarily a terrible big deficit that came our way, at least to my understanding, I would still say playing all four quarters is still our biggest problem, and that is where we need to find our consistency. But again, 135 points for Utah, that's an incredible amount, and you got to give respect there. Now, some may say, well, look, we don't have Zach LaVine. You can put the Zach LaVine excuse out there if you like. I don't think the Utah Jazz had Lauri Markkanen in this game. Let's take a look at the stats real quick. I don't see any Lauri in this timeout. So I think both teams kind of came into this one a little bit short-staffed and short-handed. Regardless of what you may feel, Utah get their first win. The Bulls, look, it was fun getting to 500 while it lasted. It was a great feeling, great emotions. Everybody was excited and ecstatic and maybe had a feeling we could go on a little bit further. Just keep your eyes on the rest of the week and see what ends up happening. But we've fallen back to reality a little bit, being now 3-4 on the season and losing it's a three in a row. I think maybe it's two in a row, and yeah, that's just a sucky feeling in its own right. So we'll see how the Bulls respond to this one. But that's really all I've got in terms of the game reaction. I just felt like Utah's offense was just on another level today. Again, maybe we could take a look at some of the stats just for both teams to see and try to compare how I guess both teams ended up doing in this game. But yeah, the Jazz were just on another level. They were just looking too good out there. There were some shots, especially in the fourth quarter. Like, I felt like the Bulls were kind of... They were all over them on the defensive end. And still, they just made some big threes. And maybe that's where the taunting ended up coming from. But again, we'll start off with Ayo, who came into the starting lineup today. He had 25 points for the Bulls. Vucevic had a 23 and 10 night with 6 assists as well. That's pretty good from Nikola Vucevic. Kobe White with 28 points, made some big threes in this timeout. Talen Horton-Tucker coming in the game. It's been a while since we've seen Talen Horton-Tucker. He ends up dropping 10 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. Dalen Terry had 4 points. Yeah, again, it's a whole bunch of things, ladies and gentlemen. Buzelis actually got 4 minutes in this timeout. It's good to see that he got called up once again. Everything's right with the world. But looking at the Jazz, I mean, George had 33 points. Colin Sexton, 24 points. John Collins with 28 points. I mean, those three alone is going to win you the game. But when you get on top of that, Cody Williams with 11, Filipowski with 7, Eubanks and Patrick Mills with 6 and 4 respectively. Juzang with 8. You know, so many guys contributing to the win there for Utah. And I think that's how they're going to start winning games because, you know, they really need to get more people involved. It is what it is. Am I embarrassed that we lost to Utah? No, because again, everybody has to get their first win eventually. It just sucks that it was against us, but no, I'm not embarrassed. And at the end of the day, the start of the season is very unpredictable. I mean, look at the Eastern Conference right now. I think I heard a stat that said only 2 teams in the Eastern Conference are plus 500, and everybody else is below 500. I've told you the East is trash, man. I've been telling you for months. The East is trash. They've gotten significantly worse. And maybe by the end of the season, surely by the end of the season, because we all have to verse each other, the Eastern Conference, you'll start to see positive records come back into the fray. But I'm telling you, man, the East ain't that good. And even the teams that are doing that good, I think there's going to be a reality check for some of them. So keep your eyes out for the Bulls. See what they end up doing. You know, I still believe we could be a playing team, but I still believe we're on the edge of that as well. With that being said, my must improve for this game, keep in mind I didn't watch the entirety of the game, so I don't feel like I'm personally the right person to discuss this. But taking a look at what I saw here, my answer is very difficult. I think defensively is where we really struggled, but just based on the fact that he had 18 minutes, Dalen Terry had 4 points and 4 rebounds with 2 assists, maybe I'd give it to him. Julian Phillips actually had 0 points in 16 minutes. I might give it to him, but keep in mind, I didn't watch the entirety of the game, so I can't honestly recollect what Julian Phillips was able to do there on the courts. But I give it to him. I think Julian Phillips is the right answer. My player of the game is Nikola Vucevic. Kobe White with 28 points, great. Ayo was great. It was great as well. But Vucevic, with the points that he had, also added a double-double and added 6 assists. And in my eyes, at least, that is an incredible feat for a center. Look, Vucevic, right now, as we speak, can anyone argue this? Right now, as we speak, with the games that we have played, if the All-Star game started tomorrow, Vucevic would be an All-Star. That's how good he is playing for the Chicago Bulls right now. It's a small sample size, and maybe reality is going to come back into it sooner than later, but Nikola Vucevic is playing at an all-star level as we speak, and that should not go unnoticed. He has won so many player of the games for me, he's won both player of the weeks for me as well, and he's come off of this game looking rather impressive. Whatever you may say about Nikola Vucevic, the good, the bad, the ugly, you cannot deny that he's playing really well for the Bulls at the moment. And if there is any positive of Nikola Vucevic playing well for us, is that teams are going to start looking at him in terms of a trade. He's making his name. And let's see where it ends up taking him and taking the Bulls in the future. With that being said, I believe our next game should be at... I don't think it is at home, actually. It's going to be out west, and we're going to face the Dallas Mavericks. That will be interesting. We'll see how we go. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.